Hello, and welcome back to the BFA Baby podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Hartman, and today on the podcast we're drinking coffee out of my very favorite Barbie mug. This is a hazelnut coffee from the roastery in Kansas City, and then a little splash of a chocolatey, a warm coffee creamer. Very nice. That's what we're drinking today on the pod, and today I kind of wanted to just have a huge brain dump conversation. There's been a lot of things that I've been thinking about, that I've been inspired by, and I just kind of wanted to talk about everything. I wanted to talk about this my choreography process recently, a big project I'm starting to work on, all these fun things I've kind of really wanted to just kind of talk about on the pod. And thank you guys so much for your support on last week's episode where I read you some of my debut novel. Maybe in a couple episodes or next season or something, I'll start to read you some more. But yeah, a few other updates. This season, this podcast, season 1 will have 20 episodes. I believe this is episode 19. Let me double check so I'm not fully lying to you. I believe that this is episode 19. Let's see. Yes, so this is episode 19. So this episode and the next episode will complete season 1. We'll take a little bit of a hiatus, and then we will hop in with season 2. There's some things I really want to set up for season 2, and so we'll take a break, kind of chill out a bit, and then I'll keep you updated on some more things as that starts coming to fruition. Of course, you can follow the Instagram at BFA Baby Podcast for all these fun little updates. So first, I want to talk about what I've been watching recently. So I have really been watching Peaky Blinders. And if Lily Dodge, if you are listening to this podcast right now, mark a tally. I've been watching Peaky Blinders really religiously, but I will only let myself watch it. I will only let myself watch it on a treadmill. Okay, if I'm I cannot I just cannot in good conscience be I'm gonna sit in front of this TV and I'm gonna watch this show for an hour. That's just not me. I'll do it with a movie, chill out with a movie. We'll get to that. We'll get to the most recent movie now. Please don't perceive my bed behind me if you're watching on YouTube. It's such a mess. Anyways, I'll sit down and do that with a movie. Kind of chill the night out with a film. But definitely definitely with a TV show, I want to be doing something, or at least if I have someone with me, when Caroline and I were watching, if we watched The Office or whatever, that kind of it's kind of a bonding, quality time type thing, but I have a hard time sitting down and being I'm gonna watch TV right now, and I'm just gonna sit down, so I'll watch Peaky Blinders on a treadmill. So I'll the treadmills at school have this this function where there's set workouts you can choose, and they'll take you visually take you through a city or whatever. So I'll pick one and I'll set it for an hour and I'll watch an episode of Peaky Blinders and I'll just do the workout on the treadmill. So I've been watching Peaky Blinders and I really enjoy it, and I feel very inspired by it. I literally just got off a call with one of my professors about inspiration and stuff, and I'm feeling very inspired about, those kind of old school, 1910s gangster kind of bad people with good hearts, deep down they got a good heart. And Peaky Blinders I watched it, right after seeing Oppenheimer for the very first time, because I, immediately, this is the first thing I'd ever seen Cillian Murphy in, and I'd, fallen in love with him during Oppenheimer. I just thought he was so talented, and I was let me watch everything this man has ever been in, ever. And, so everyone was watch Peaky Blinders, and the first time I watched it, I, was not vibing with it. I, could not get into it, and then earlier this year, I was okay, let me try it again. And I'm really enjoying it. I think I kind of had to give it another chance, but I'm really enjoying it, and, yeah, I'm feeling very inspired by the way they use music and the way they use movement and, all kinds of stuff. I feel very inspired by it. But, yeah, so I'm watching Peaky Blinders, and it's been really good. And if you watched it and didn't like it, I would recommend giving it another shot, because it took me 2 shots to really like it, and I've been really enjoying it. But something that has kind of also helped my workout practice has been knowing that at the end of my workout, I can, like, I'll usually do like an hour, 2 hours, 90-minute workout, usually in the mornings. I know I can, like, do all my hard stuff, and, like, the last 30 minutes of my workout, I can, like, knock out half an episode of Peaky Blinders. Like, if you need workout motivation, try watching a show on the treadmill at the end of it. I don't know, that's just a thought. But yeah, I've been really enjoying Peaky Blinders. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I have been really enjoying it. But something else that I did recently that I feel like deserves a moment on the pod is last night. I'm filming this on February 13th. On February 12th, I watched Saltburn. Let me tell you about my history with Saltburn. So I was in New York in November. And I was in New York in November, and we went to this little art house theater that's like a cafe on top and a movie theater on the bottom, and we saw Maestro, which is on Netflix. Go watch Maestro, it's very beautiful. So we saw Maestro in theaters and in New York, and when we were walking into this cutie little art house cinema, there was this gorgeous purple dress in like a box, and it said like Saltburn, and I was like, what is that? And there's like a photo of me like so happy standing next to this gorgeous dress, and I was like, what is Saltburn? And then I just like kind of forgot about it, and then everyone was like, Saltburn's the craziest movie I've ever seen. I'm 35 years old and Saltburn's the craziest movie I've ever seen. Or like the TikTok of like, I think it's a girl and a guy, and they're like us before Saltburn, and it's like them walking into the theater, and it's like us after Saltburn, and they're just like gagged, and I'm like, okay. So then everyone was like, this is a crazy movie, and I was like, okay, let's watch it. Okay, let's watch Saltburn. I turned on Amazon Prime, and I was like strapping in for like a ride, and it like wasn't that like okay, back up. I thought it was really beautiful. I thought the writing was like pretty good. I loved the sets and the costumes. The plot was really interesting. I enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Debatable. I think if someone wanted to watch it, I would sit down and watch it with them, but like I don't think that I would turn it back on. I had a good time watching it. It was not as like traumatizing as everyone thought it was making it seem. Like, obviously the thing at the gravesite was really crazy, and like the bathtub thing was really crazy, like with the drain, like that's crazy. But like it wasn't like melt your brain off kind of like shocking. Like it's kind of got that like psycho thriller type energy that like Black Mirror has. But like it wasn't like crazy. Like there are episodes of Black Mirror that I think fuck me up more than Saltburn did, or like the one episode of American Horror Story that I've ever seen ever, that did me in more than Saltburn did. Not to say that Saltburn is a bad movie, but I think that like the public perception of it was made it feel a lot crazier than it was. And not that I went in and then got let down. I think it was more just like, I wasn't let down. It was a great movie, but I think I was just kind of like, okay, it was kind of crazy, but like it wasn't anything like, I don't know. It was a good movie. Watch Saltburn if you haven't seen it. I think it's a good watch. I think it's worth the watch. But it was like, I don't know. It was kind of like, that is a movie that I watch. I think everyone was making it sound a lot crazier than it was, but I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I really loved the music. Shout out the music director in Saltburn. It was gorgeous. I liked the short framing. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. But everyone was making it seem like it was gonna like corrupt me, and I was like, it was like kind of crazy, but it wasn't like I see the world differently now, you know? But yeah, so some other things I want to talk about. I want to talk about my choreography. A week or 2 or 3 ago, it was definitely like 3 weeks ago, I did an episode on this podcast about the cinematic screenwriting concept of Kill Your Darlings and how that works into choreography, you know. And Sorry, this coffee is very good, so I'm just kind of like inhaling it. And how that works into choreography. And I'm happy to say that we've made some really massive strides on this piece. And I think the biggest thing is that, like, not only have we made really massive strides on this piece since that, but we've, like, been able to collaborate. We've gotten, like, I love my cast. Ryan, Maddie, Katie, Lily. Ryan, Maddie, Katie, Lily, Alyssa, Taylor. I love my cast. Those 5 are changing the game, and I don't think I would be able to have such a compelling and successful piece without these 5. And they are just making the process so amazing and so effortless, and they are just the best dancers I could ever ask for. I could sing their praises day in and day out. But yeah, so we've made some really big strides. We have a few holes to fill, but some really good work done. And the biggest thing I've learned as it relates back to Kill Your Darlings is that, like, your dancers have ideas. Like, that sounds really stupid and contrived, but, like, they do. And, like, acting choices I'm seeing my dancers make, and, like, taking, like, ideas like the tablecloth thing, Ryan has, like, completely not changed it, but, like, made it his own, and it's, like, made the story so much more captivating, and, like, the way the characters are relating to each other, like, it's just been such a rewarding experience, especially with, like, a massive piece. It's been just, like, such a rewarding experience, and it's just been really lovely, and I'm learning a lot, and I can't wait for this piece to become something. I told them that if it, for whatever reason, doesn't get selected, then we'll turn it into a film. Which brings me into my next point, dance films. I just got off a Zoom call with my professor, and we're talking about our final project. I'm in a choreography class currently. My final choreography project. And I've decided that my final choreography project is going to be a dance film. And we kind of talked about, you know, like, steps I'm going to take to get there, things I'm going to need to know to, like, prepare for this project, what I'm going to show, like, the structure of our class and everything, right? And, you know, we have this plan set out of, like, like, the steps I'm going to take, and it's going to be a lot of work, but I think that then brings into the conversation something I really wanted to talk about on the podcast, that, like, in the wise words of our love Taylor Swift, nothing safe is worth the drive. Nothing easy is worth doing. Nothing that, you know, things that are hard work are the most rewarding and the most celebrated and special. So I'm definitely, like, it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm really excited about where it's going to take me, what I'm going to learn, what I'm going to do and grow. And I have an advising meeting tomorrow. This is something I really want to talk about. I recently met up with a family friend who works in and directs theater in the greater Springfield area. Shout out Ryan. And, you know, he went to MSU, go Bears. And, you know, we were just talking about, you know, his experience at the college, because he's a couple years removed. And, like, my experience and, like, all these things I want to do in the arts, you know. He's a really great resource. I really am very happy to have met him. But, yeah, so we were kind of just talking, and he really encouraged me to, like, hone in on what I want to do professionally. Like, if you know me, I want to do, like, 1,000,001 things all the time. And I, like, just had this conversation with my professor. She's like, I know you want to do 1,000,000 things, but, like, let's hone it in a little bit. And he really encouraged me to hone in on what I want, and I'm now, you know, setting up advising appointments. I literally have one tomorrow morning to sort of discuss and talk about some next steps that I have, for, you know, my future career post-college. I'm really excited about having that meeting, and this is all to say that I really want you guys to speak for yourselves. And, like, let me tell you what I mean. Like, if you want something, do not be afraid to ask the questions and take the steps to get there. Will you always get the answer you want to hear? Maybe, probably not. And I think the biggest thing is just put yourself out there. Like, I was really nervous to email my advisor and be like, hey, Sarah, can I have this advising meeting? Like, I want to know the next steps that I can take for my career. And I don't know what she's going to say, but I am willing to, like, be open to that feedback and open to that conversation. And I'm willing to say out loud what I want and what I want for my life and my career. And I think sometimes we're really, I think with all the pressure that's put on artists, especially ones that come from families that aren't super artistic, you know, I think like that kind of pressure is really heavy sometimes. And I think sometimes it holds us back from being like, you know, I'm gonna do this. And I think like reaching out to your resources and asking the people around you who are in this industry and who have done this and who know, like, don't be afraid to do that. And I think like for a long time I was really scared to be like, I'm gonna join a company. And like obviously like I wanted that, and like in my heart I wanted that, but like sometimes it's scary. Like in the wise words of Claire Woods in Hollywood on Netflix, if you want something you have to declare it. And I say that a lot and I kind of live by that, but sometimes it's scary to declare what you want, and I'm just here to validate, be like, yes, it can be scary to declare what you want, but the sooner you declare what you want, the more empowered you will be to reach out and seek out people that will help you discover that and that will help you point yourself in the right direction, you know. And so I'm going to finish off my coffee there. Help point you in the right direction and give you guidance and like places to go, you know. Like people only know to help you if you ask them. People only know what's going on if you tell them, you know. And that's funny because that's like a really big premise of my dance, but for spring dance. But yeah, so like, do I know what Sarah's gonna say? No. Am I willing to take her advice and work on it? Yes, because I know what I want and I know that this is my dream, and I'm no longer scared to declare the dream I have for myself. And I think the sooner we declare it, the sooner it's out there, and the sooner that more things are coming into us. And I just wanted to shout that out. Like, don't be scared to use your resources. Don't be scared to reach out to the people around you. Don't be scared to ask hard questions. Don't be scared to receive hard feedback. I think that's a big thing too. Like, in like the most anxiety-ridden parts of my brain, I'm like, she's gonna tell me to change my major and that I'm worthless. I'm never gonna have a career. And it's like, okay, dial that back in. Like, that's dumb. You are going to have a career, and your art is worthwhile, and you're going to take the path that you need to take, and you're going to do everything you set out to do if you know, work at it, you know, and all of those things. And I think it's just really important to know that you got this. Like, you can do the thing and just reach out. Keep yourself open for feedback, but reach out. You'll never grow if you don't put yourself out there to grow. And that's really what I'm learning this year is, like, put yourself out there to grow. You'll never learn if you don't. So, yeah, I'm doing a lot to grow and learn, and just kind of, like, and if you fail along the way, you learned. That's another really big thing. You know, if you fail along the way, you learned, and you'll do better next time. You know, it's not everything is so life or death. I mean, obviously, if you're, like, a brain surgeon, it is. But, like, guys, not to discredit us, but, like, we do play make-believe. Like, we have a joke in my friend group that we all, like, have little trivial things that we joke that our degrees are in. Like, my friend Colin is a sports management administration. We're gonna say administration. He's, like, a sports administration, sports management major. And his joke is that, like, he's getting his bachelor's in ball go far. Like, I'm getting my bachelor's in make-believe. You know what I mean? Like, not to trivialize what we do, it's very important. I mean, shit, I've dedicated my life to it, and I have a whole ass podcast about it. But, like, dedicate, like, it's not trivial, but it's also not the end of the world. You know? Learn, grow, put yourself out there, make mistakes, get messy, get deep into the work. Chase the dream. Chase the dream at full force. The dream will eat you alive, and the heartbreak of not reaching your dream will eat you alive if you are not ready to get dirty in pursuit of it. Imagine your dream is a lion that just escaped from the zoo. Where is this podcast going? Imagine your dream is a lion that just escaped from the zoo, and you're running away from it so it doesn't eat you, like, point blank alive. You know, because lions, you know. you're chasing or like you're running away from your dream, that dream, if you aren't willing to get down and crawl and get messy and just totally commit yourself to the act of running, if not chasing your dream is the lion. Let me restart this analogy over. If your future without your dream being successful, a future where you didn't chase your dream, it never came to fruition, you didn't, put your whole self into it, if that's the lion and you're running towards the dream, if you're not willing to crawl and get messy and get into it and run and dodge and throw your whole self into the dream, the reality of it never happening will eat you alive. This is the worst analogy I've ever said on this podcast. Please please no one sound clip this and like put it out. This is just, oh God, please don't sound clip my podcast. But no. So just, full force running ahead, chasing the dream, and all, not to be like dramatic on the podcast, but like one day you're gonna die. And I personally want to be on my deathbed knowing that I did everything in my power to chase my dream, chase my passion, chase my heart, live a life that I'm proud of. And that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. And I think that that's a mindset you want to kind of adopt. And a mindset that I've also started adopting is, what would third grade Taylor think? I think I talked about this on a really early podcast episode, but the biggest thing is, what would third grade Taylor think? Third grade, you're like 9, 10 years old. 7, 8 maybe? How old are you? If you're like 5, 6 in first grade, then you're like 7, 8. You're like 8, 9, 9, 10, third grade. What would like 8, 9, 10-year-old Taylor think about what I'm doing right now? Personally, I think 8, 9-year-old Taylor would be really fucking excited. I think she would be so thrilled. She's got this great group of friends and an apartment, and she's been to New York City 3 times, and she has a record player and a Polaroid, and she wears cute clothes and cool makeup, and she's like unapologetically herself. And I think that we all need to start living our lives that in a way that 10-year-old us would be proud of. Like, if 10-year-old you saw current you at like a Walmart, would 10-year-old you be like, that's a cool ass motherfucker, that's a really cool girl, that's a really cool guy, as a really cool person, like I want to be them does 10-year-old Taylor want to be 20-year-old Taylor when she grows up? You know what I mean? Does 10-year-old Taylor want to be 20-year-old Taylor when she grows up? And that's the like life that I am creating for myself, the life that I'm living. And I think that's a really fun thought experiment that you could have for yourself. Could be a really fun thought experiment that I think would be really worth exploring. It's definitely given me a more positive outlook on life. It's like doing everything for 10-year-old Taylor. 10-year-old Taylor would be really thrilled that I make my own coffee and I drink coffee, and I was never really allowed to drink coffee as a kid, and I always kind of romanticized the like getting coffee in the mornings, drinking coffee before rehearsal, and like I do that. And it is just as romantic and beautiful as I always dreamed it would be. So, cheers to that, my now empty mug. Cheers to that. Also, shout out Caroline for this Barbie mug. I don't know if the podcast has seen it yet, but it is like my favorite thing ever. It's one of those that when it gets hot or cold, like it gets shiny and like rainbow. It's like very magical. Anyways, yeah, and I think that like 9, 10-year-old Taylor would just be like really proud of just like what we're doing. And I just think it's a really interesting thing to check in with yourself. What do you think 8, 9, 10-year-old you would think? Do you think that they'd be like blown away? Do you think they'd be interested, curious? Maybe if you like didn't discover the arts till later, would 8, 9, 10-year-old you not really know how to process the career path that you're on, what you're doing? I would love to, maybe that'll be my poll question in the show notes. What do you think 8, 9, 10-year-old you would think about you now? I think it's a really interesting thought experiment, and it's definitely given me a more positive outlook on my career. Even like moving into the next point is auditions. I recently just finished submitting all of my summer stock auditions. I submitted for a grand total of 168 theaters. And I am now in the desperate period of waiting. Not desperate, but just kind of like, oh, let's go. Like, you really just, like, impatient period of waiting. And I just wanted to shout out my artists. Actually, I have the program right here. I recently saw Mean Girls, the non-union tour. It came to Juanita K, the theater, like, right off, it's literally across the street from my apartment, but it's, like, on our campus. And the girl that played Katie, Natalie Shaw, I really wanted to, read you her little bio, and she said some, like, really cool stuff. So Natalie Shaw, who played Katie Heron, she, her, is a New York-based and North Dakota-born performer. She earned her degree in theater arts, creative writing, and film studies at the University of Minnesota, and has been working in Minneapolis and New York ever since. Credits include Cinderella, Audrey the New Musical, and Daredevil. Natalie sends love to her incredible twin sister, Jenny, her parents who have supported her passions from the very beginning despite the job insecurity, her wonderful brother, roommates back home, and hardworking agents and managers. Finally, for the actors out there who are getting rejected again, I see you. Keep going. You're one job away. And that was... I'm, like, tearing up, like, reading it again. Like, I almost cried, like, in my seat reading that because... It's been kind of difficult, and I remember, like, telling my mom about this, like, it's been really difficult, you know, because all my friends that are in, like, traditional career paths, you know, are signing on to their internships, they're getting their internships, they know what they're doing for the summer, and it's kind of hard to just be, like, waiting, and you don't know when you're gonna know, and, like, reading that, it's just, like, she's there, she's doing it, and, like, she's right, you are one job away. Like, you never know what contract's gonna call you tomorrow. You know, and that was just, like, a really big thing for me, like, seeing that. And I kind of wanted to share that with you. One more time, just for, like, dramatic effect, one more time. For the actors out there who are getting rejected again, I see you. Keep going. You're one job away. And it's so true, and it's something I think we really lose sight of in that, like, comparison of what other people are doing and what other people are booking. And, like, the biggest thing is, like, especially with, like, if you're in an arts program at a greater university, like, if you're not just at an arts university, you know what I mean? If you're in an arts program at a greater university, it's apples to oranges if you're comparing, like, what you're doing in your department to, like, what your friends in the, like, Megan's nursing, like, what your friends in the nursing department are doing. Like, it's so completely different worlds. It's different timelines. It's different requirements. Like, it's apples to oranges. And even when it's apples to apples, even when it's what other people around you are booking, fuck it. Literally fuck it. Because everyone is on their own path, and if they book something this summer, you know, and you don't, maybe next summer you'll book and they won't. You know, it's like the comparison, you've been told it your whole life, don't compare yourself to others, and it's hard. It's so hard. I literally had a whole breakdown about this, like, a week or two ago. Like, it's so difficult, and the waiting is difficult. The waiting is agonizing and grating and, like, nauseating, especially if you're me and you're impatient. It's just, like, it's grating, and I think that the biggest thing for me is, one, just, like, don't compare. Like, celebrate each other's achievements, but what happens, you know? And I think the best piece of advice I have for just the waiting is, like, get excited about things that are coming up, like, now, right? Which, like, sounds contrived, but, like, hear me out. Like, get excited about things that are happening now. Like, we're throwing, like, a Barbenheimer thing because Oppenheimer's finally out on streaming. And, like, you know, we can watch Barbie and Oppenheimer. We can Barbenheimer here for, like, our friends that didn't do it this summer. You know, go see local art. Like, I literally just saw Rock of Ages at Springfield Contemporary Theater. And support your friends that are in local art. Like, I just saw my friends in Rock of Ages. My friend Katie was a pit singer. Shout out Katie. I'm going to try to rush In the Heights this weekend. You know, our accompanist, Kyle, has a concert on campus tonight. We're going to go see him. We're going to go see Kyle on campus. play his piano, and like just get excited about things that are in the now. If you spend all your head space in the future, just it can be really draining and really exhausting, and just spend time being excited about the now. And even if what you're excited about is the fact that you're going to make cookies this weekend, killer. It's something to look forward to. It's something to kind of, drown out the waiting. Fill your time with things that fill your cup. Therefore, the acceptances, the rejections, the whatever contracts come in and out, they will just come in and out, and your life will still move on. The biggest thing that I've learned while waiting for auditions and like results and everything is just live your life. Just live your life like it didn't happen. Just, be hopeful, but just live your life. Your life will move on. Your life has continued to move on with or without that contract, and that means that something better is out there and something better is coming for you. And I just really wanted to shout that out, because the biggest thing with audition season that has really been challenging me is the waiting. And I think it's just because I'm, like, inherently, like, genetically impatient person. Like, my father is the most impatient man I've ever met. And, sorry, Dad, if you're listening to the pod. I don't think he is. So, sorry, Dad, you're impatient, but I got that gene from you. So, you kind of have that, I got that impatient gene. And I think that makes it, like, 10 times harder. But, like, just learn to live your life and chase your dream and do all the things and just continue living your life. And if you can get to a point where you forget that you even submitted for these theaters, I mean, obviously it's easier said than done, but like, if you can get to a point where you forget that you're waiting, that's better, because then it can kind of just ebb and flow and work its way into your life. And that's like really, really important. Just keep living your life the way you're living your life. And the biggest thing I could tell you is just you can hope, pray, whatever works for you. But like what is meant for you will find you, and that's hard. That is so hard. It's hard for me to grasp onto sometimes. It's hard to understand, but what is meant for you will find you. And if you're putting in the work and you're doing everything that you can, what is meant for you will find you, and the best things for you will find you. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I'm currently learning. That's like the biggest thing. And something else I wanted to talk about. There was something else I wanted to talk about, and now I don't remember what it was. Oh God, there was something else that I was like, I have to talk about this on the pod. What was it? Oh no, we were talking about waiting and living your life beyond auditions. We were talking about I don't know what else. There was something else I wanted to say, but I'm gonna start talking about something else in hopes that it jumps back into my brain. But something else that I am working on, I just wanted to shout out the fact that, like, take up other endeavors. Like, we've talked about this on the pod like 7 million times, but like, take up endeavors that also fill your cup. Like teaching Zumba at the rec, I make some extra money, and I'm dancing and I'm bringing people together, and like that's an endeavor that's like really helpful to me, and that's like really filling my cup. Like it's always good to have a job that you're excited to go to. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I know what I wanted to talk about. I have been missing New York. It took me, my roommate got me this New York journal. If you're on YouTube and you're watching, she got me this New York journal. And I have yet to decide what I'm going to do with it, because I feel very connected to it, and I don't want to... I want to do something special with it. I feel very connected to this journal. I want to do something special with it. I've been missing New York so much. Shout out Kelsey, if you're listening to the pod. I don't know if you are. Shout out Kelsey, who is doing a semester in New York right now. She's doing like a national study abroad. MSU soon to be grad doing a national study abroad in New York. She's working, she's dancing, she's taking class, she's learning. And I am just so proud of her. Kelsey is wickedly talented and wickedly kind, and just her vision for her art is immaculate, and like her connection to herself and her identity is like so admirable, and like I cannot compare her to anyone else, and I'm very proud of her and the work that she's doing up in New York. But seeing her be reels in New York and like her TikToks and stuff, like it's making me miss New York like so bad. knife to the heart. Like, I'm so proud you're slaying, Kelsey, but, like, I want to come be there with you. And I think that that's a lot to say because I've always felt that, like, New York is, like, where I'm supposed to be. Like, I went for the first time with my dad. I was 14 turning 15. I went, like, my birthday's in January, and I went in, like, December. And I was 14 turning 15, and I remember being in this Uber, and our Uber driver was named Elvis. Let's talk about that. Our Uber driver was named Elvis. My very first time in New York, my dad was like, "Are you Elvis?" And this guy was like, "Yes, I am." Like, okay. And I remember looking out the window of this Uber, like, eyes wide, so excited. And I was like, in my brain, it's like, I've been here before. Like, my heart and my soul felt like I've been here before, and, like, I knew things. And it was like, I don't really, you know when kids talk about, like, having a past life and, like, you know, like, dying and stuff? Like, I'm thinking about that kid on Dateline, or 60 Minutes, not Dateline, on 60 Minutes when I was, like, a teenager. And, you know, it was this little kid, and he was, like, so scared of planes and big buildings, and he'd talk about, like, dying and, like, a, you know, plane crash and stuff, and, you know, he would talk about, like, this past life and who he used to be, and, like, all these weird connections about, like, oh, this kid, like, is, like, a 9/11 victim reincarnated, I think is what, like, the story was. And, like, I don't really believe in stuff like that. I don't really believe in reincarnation. I think it's a cool thought experiment. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's real. However, I do think that there are places that we are meant to be, and I think that New York is mine. I feel so at home in New York. I feel very connected. I feel like my fully realized self. I just feel, like, so connected and loved and embraced by New York. Like, I feel homesick for New York, you know, and I'm, like, feeling it really strong this week, and it's just been a lot, but I'm feeling it really strong, and, like, nothing makes me want to work harder than the times like this when I'm feeling homesick for New York. It's like, I gotta get there, I'm coming for you, but yeah, no, I just wanted to shout out, I wanted to voice my homesickness for New York, because it's, like, very strong. It's, like, so strong. It's so strong, and it's, like, the stupidest thing. It's, like, I've been keeping it inside, but, like, I have been, and, like, getting it voiced as being, like, okay, I do feel this way, and, like, it's valid because I do feel my most at home there, but it's, like, I have been missing New York a lot. So if you have any New York content that you would like to share, please drop it in the BFA Baby podcast DMs. I would love any New York content that you have to share, to live vicariously through the creator. Some final things to kind of wrap up the pod for today. It's been, like, a super brain dumpy episode, and I sort of apologize for that, but I did kind of say a lot of things that I wanted to say, a lot of things that I wanted to touch on. Kind of been thinking a lot, been working on a lot of change coming in the next coming weeks, coming semester. You know, we've been doing a lot, learning a lot. I want to leave you with some recommendations. Some things that I've kind of been, like, doing, listening, whatever. First recommendation is Duolingo. This is not sponsored, but I've been doing Duolingo. Today is my 274th day. Excuse you. But I started learning French last summer. It's, like, a fun little practice that I've been having. I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but I want to shout it out again in case I haven't. Screen Zen. It's an app, again, not sponsored, but this is Screen Zen. And basically you can, like, set apps that, you know, that are, like, distracting to you or whatever. You can set apps and it will lock them for you, and it'll, like, time it, and basically, like, you have to wait longer every single time for it to unlock. Let me get you, like, a legitimate description for you. Okay, so this is from Screen Zen's official website. Pause before opening a distracting app. This is from Drew Gooden on YouTube, which is how I found this app. I found this app from Drew Gooden on YouTube. But it works really well for me because I would click to open Twitter and be like, oh wait, I only have a few more unlocks for the day. Do I really want to waste one now? I'll save it for later. And then I just never opened it again. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, do I really need to be like sitting here on Instagram or TikTok? Like mine are Instagram and TikTok that I have like on the screens in. But it's like, and you can put a little note on there, and my note is like, your dreams won't chase themselves, like XO, or like a kiss or something. And it's just kind of my reminder that's like, if I'm walking to class and I'm like scrolling on my phone, it's like, do I really want to be mindlessly scrolling, or like, could I be doing something more beneficial? Obviously, there are times where I will override it, and I'll be like, yes, I want to scroll and just kind of turn my brain off for a bit. But it's definitely a great way to like kind of like look at your screen time and see what is productive, what is helping, and what's not. And I really recommend Screen Zen if you're kind of like a chronic scroller, or like a, like I'm scrolling on my way to class, but like I could be doing something more productive, whatever. A few other things I want to talk about, some podcasts that I've been listening to and really liking. The Script Notes podcast by John August and Craig Mazin. Screenwriters John August and Craig Mazin discuss screenwriting and related topics in the film and television industry, everything from getting stuff written to the vagaries question mark on that word of copyright and work for hire law. It's about like working in the film industry. I really enjoy it. If I'm looking for something to laugh at, I've been really liking Will and Rusty's Playdate. Rusty Featherstone and Will Donnellan change the world one episode at a time through groundbreaking innovation and mind-altering quips and whims. And I like Will and Rusty's Playdate because it's funny. It's just like two friends talking, and they like invent fake things. Like every episode, they like pitch stuff. And my favorite episode so far was on January 24th, and it was pitching award shows that don't exist, which I thought was really funny. House of Herbie, or Herbie House, sorry. Music artists Queen Herbie and Jedi Nick invite us into their safe space for self-discovery. This podcast explores the ups and downs of creative living, delivered like a pep talk from your besties. Get weekly motivation and permission to go after your wildest dreams with a side of witchy chaos. If I'm particularly feeling very like whoo and a little like artsy and up here, Herbie House is something I'll definitely listen to. Shout out Jess for recommending this to me. But yeah, like definitely just listening to something that, makes me feel connected to the industry, connected to my work, something that inspires me, has been really beneficial. And I think that's all. This was kind of a rambly little episode, but I hope it was fun to listen to. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Of course, you can follow the journey at BFA Baby Podcast on Instagram. Send me your show ideas, what you want to see in season 2. Send me New York content, please. Send me memes if you want. Send me memes to the podcast. Maybe I'll start like meme of the week, and if you send me a good meme, I'll like shout it out on the podcast. Maybe I'll do that. That'd be hilarious. Maybe I would shout. If you send me a good meme, I will shout you out on the podcast next week. BFA Baby Podcast on Instagram. And yes, I think that is all. Have an amazing rest of your week. So happy we got to sit down and talk. Cheers. Meriden kiss. Mwah.